Good morning. Welcome, everybody. My name is Janelle Alexandra, and I'm the certified life purpose coach behind Life Design University. And so I'm going to give people a few minutes to join, but just some housekeeping items before we get started. I always like to just share that I am simulcasting right now, and so I'm tuning in on Facebook Live as well as Instagram Live. So if you see me looking in two different directions, it's because I am. And so I just wanted to give y'all a heads up. Also, I will be looking down because I do have notes as well. But yeah, welcome. Welcome. So I'm going to give people a few moments to tune in, take a swig of water. Y'all, it's Tuesday, and it's officially fall. So hi, Dominique. Hey, welcome. So y'all, it's officially fall, and thank God that it is, because this hot weather, it's still 90 degrees in Georgia, but it has been a little bit of cool weather these past few mornings, and so I'm trying to savor like the 60, 70 degree weather in the morning and pray that soon just like everything will just be 75 degrees. Yeah, because I'm a fall baby, so I was born in October. October 11th is my birthday, and then my wedding anniversary is October 28th, and so this time of year, it's always a good time of year, and it would just be even sweeter if it would finally feel like fall. Like, I'm from Ohio originally, and so I'm not hot weather natured. So in Ohio, obviously we experience like all four seasons, and so y'all, I'm so ready for fall to be here and in full effect. But until then, I will have to just manage the weather. But hello there. If you are tuning in live, I would love to know who you are. So tell me your name and where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia, where it's still 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to give people a few more moments to hop on live, but I'm just going to just share a little bit more about who I am and the university and what we do here. So my name, again, is Janelle Alexandra, and I'm the certified life purpose coach behind Life Designer University, and I have a coaching and personal development company called Life Designer University, where we just coach and educate Christian millennial women to just really uncover their purpose and design a life that they and God love. And so most of the time, these women are in a place where they're experiencing this tension between wanting to create a successful career and lifestyle, but still having a desire to really design a life that is in alignment with God's purpose and plan for them. And so we help them to really just quiet the voice of culture, because oftentimes we're just hearing so many things from, society, from our culture, from our friends and family and things like that, who have these expectations for us. And to be honest, sometimes we are led by our own selfish ambitions and ideas of success. I know I was, and I know a lot of my clients were in the same place. And so to be in a place where you can just tune that out, to hear the voice of God, to really understand what it is that He has designed you to do and start following that, there's nothing better than that. So we've created a framework that allows women to really just cast the vision for their life, because, oftentimes we don't know exactly what we want, but we can always identify what we don't, right? And so if we can start there by casting the vision for our life, I always say that your vision gives you direction. So it may not be like a GPS step-by-step instructions, but you know that by headed in the right direction that you're going to get to your destination. So we start by casting the vision, and then from there uncovering your purpose from what is called the 4 core directions. And so that's going to have you looking inwardly at your design. And so your design consists of all your personality type, your gifts, your skills, your strengths, basically everything that makes you uniquely you. And so here at the university, we love personality tests like the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs. And so we walk our clients through that and really make sure we're extracting who it is that they are, so they can learn more about, how God has designed them, because we have already been equipped and qualified for our purpose just by the way that God has strategically designed us. And so looking inwardly helps us to unearth what's already there. And then we look at forward direction, which is your passions. So obviously the things that inspire you and light you up, the things that you constantly obsess over, the things that the Lord has placed a burden on your heart for, those are your passions. And so we look at those things as well as we look backward at your preparation. And so preparation consists of basically everything that you've experienced in your life, whether good or bad. And so that's why it's so important that you never discount anything that you've gone through, because the Lord will use even the bad for his purpose and his glory. And so looking at those experiences, your education, your work experience as well, basically everything, your upbringing, your childhood, your culture, all those things have prepared you for who you are and what the Lord is calling you to do. And last but not least, that last direction is outward. So the outward call that God has commissioned you to do. And so a calling is a commission given to you by God. And so understanding that you are called, whether it's to a group, whether it's to a people, a place, a problem that you're called to solve. So where those things integrate in the middle is your purpose. And so when you can understand what your purpose is, that gives you foundation for everything you do. And then from there, you can really understand where you are at in your calling journey, because just because you are called and you receive revelation of that, it doesn't mean that it's time for your release just yet, right? So oftentimes there is a preparation and a process that we have to go through in order for us to be ready to be released in our calling. So case in point, Joseph, he had revelation of his calling from a young age. The Lord gave him favor with his father, right? And so he could see himself operating in those spiritual gifts. And so in that moment, he was in the natural promotion stage of his calling journey, where he was receiving the favor. He was seeing a glimpse into his calling, but because Joseph, because his character was not necessarily ready for the weight of that, he was brought into what is called the valley of dependence, where the Lord was letting Joseph know, you may be talented, Joseph, you may be experiencing favor, but apart from me, like, you are nothing and you can do nothing. And so for us, it may be a character thing that propels us into that valley, or sometimes it's situations and circumstances outside of our control. But God uses those experiences to shape us and to mold us. And so he uses everything. And so there's different stages of that calling journey. And so if you can understand where you are at in that journey, you can avoid unnecessary disappointment, but still have realistic expectations about where you are. Because just because you may be in a valley, just because God has assigned you to a specific season right now, doesn't mean that you're out of purpose because it's hard, or because it's challenging, or because you don't like it. No, all these assignments are a part of his overall mission for his kingdom and his purpose for your life. And so it's all about understanding where you are at in that season, so you can know how you can go about it, because you can't be expecting to experience a peak of like a mountaintop if the Lord strategically has you in a valley right now. And so you have to understand where you are at in that journey. And from there, you can really set purpose-driven goals that will help you to focus on manifesting that life vision and walking in purpose, and then having the accountability in place to just make it all happen. And so we offer different things like private coaching, group coaching, and online courses and workshops that are really geared all around purpose, calling, and personal development. So that's just a little bit about the university and the things that we do there. And every month within the university, I always tackle a personal development topic. And so this month has all been about mastering your time. And so the month before, it was all about renewing and refreshing our focus, especially, as we're into the fall. I feel like this time of year, autumn, we're really just getting back into the swing of things from the summer. We're getting back to what matters. And it's really time for us to focus on the things that the Lord is calling us to do. And so many times, it's really the fact that we don't understand what the Lord wants us to do really prevents us from really managing our time well, so that we can do these things. And so this month, the theme has really stemmed from Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 through 17. And so I'm going to take a moment to read it really quickly. And it says, so be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Don't act thoughtlessly, but really understand what the Lord wants you to do. And so this is where we're coming from, the verse that's really grounding us as we walk throughout this month, because oftentimes we just think that there's never enough time to do the things that the Lord is calling us to do. And so this is actually a psychological term called time poverty that really describes this notion that we never have time. So we never have enough time to go to the gym, to pursue purpose, to pursue our passions. There's more things to do in the day than there is time. And then a lot of people like to throw in like, well, you have just as amount of time as Beyonce, the same 24 hours in the day as she has to get things done. Which I always feel like I'm on like both sides of the equation, because it's like I agree, but I disagree as well. We all do have the same 24 hours in the day as anyone does, but obviously like Beyonce and other people who have influence, sometimes they have more resources, they have a team, they have more money to be able to outsource some of those things so that they can focus. But really we do have the time, but it's all about focusing on the things that are going to really add the most value and impact in our lives. And so, yes, we can, or Beyonce does have the opportunity to outsource these things because she knows what her focus is, right? And so it's so important that we understand what our focus is, what the Lord is calling us to do, so that we can master our time and really make the most of every opportunity. And so the first week was really about just getting started with that, which is to really get clear on your God-given mission. And so again, it says that we have to make the most of every opportunity, but we can't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants us to do, right? So before we can really do anything, before we can really make sure that we are being productive and we are making the most of our time, we have to understand what the Lord wants us to do. Because if we are doing things that are outside of His plan for our life, or outside of His purpose, or alignment for us, then we are going to be essentially wasting our time because we are doing the wrong things. And so the first week was really all about just getting clear on your mission. And so if you have followed along for that week, you would know that I shared that there are 4 components of overall mission. So you have your purpose, which is obviously the reason why the Lord created you. And it's basically the thing that grounds you in everything you do. So getting clear on your purpose, and then really casting the vision for your life, which is the second component. So again, vision gives you direction. And without vision, it says in Proverbs 29:18 that the people perish. So if you feel like you are not moving forward, if you feel like you're constantly stuck and stagnant, one of the reasons could be because you don't have any vision for your life. And so that lack of vision is keeping you stuck because you don't know what direction to take, right? And so understanding what your vision is. And then the third component is calling. So understanding the calling, the commission that the Lord has given to you. I always say the calling is where the being part of our purpose and the doing part of purpose meet together. And so it is the action behind our purpose. And so that's why it's important, again, to understand the difference and the distinctions between purpose, calling, and then number 4, the fourth component of mission is assignment. So understanding how God is calling you to walk in purpose and carry out your calling where you are right now. And so our assignment can look like the roles and the responsibilities that the Lord has given us. And so understanding that just because you're in a role right now that you don't necessarily like or maybe challenging doesn't mean that you're out of purpose. It's a part of your assignment right now, and He has called you to steward and complete that assignment. And so when we can understand those 4 components of mission, so again, purpose, vision, calling, and assignment, we can understand how or what the Lord wants us to do, so we can move forward and start talking about what our priorities need to be. And so that's what the second week was about, determining your purposeful priorities. And we're going to talk a little bit more about purposeful priorities as well today. But when you can understand your priorities, you know what you need to put first in your life. And then from there, you can really assess and clarify the different roles and responsibilities that you have, because oftentimes we put things on our plate that don't necessarily belong there. So it's like going to a buffet where you're just piling things upon, food and piling things upon the plate. that are really not even necessarily nourishing you or sustaining you, but you're just putting it on your plate just because it looks good, right? And so you have to clarify your roles and responsibilities so you can understand where the Lord is calling you to really focus, where he's calling you to steward those things well. And then that brings us to this week, which is all about really designing a purposeful and intentional week that will allow us to operate efficiently and effectively in those roles and carry out our purpose and the goals that God has given us. So if you're now just tuning in and you're joining us for, I think we're in week 4 now, you can always go back on the blog at lifedesigneru.com/blog. And within all the blog posts, I do have the live streams, or you can always go to facebook.com/lifedesigneru and you can watch all the videos there. So let's get into this week, because everything is about really understanding your how your schedule, how your to-do list, and how your roles really fit into designing a purposeful and intentional week. And so if you join my newsletter, I have shared that the thing that I love doing the most every week is sitting down to plan my week, just because that really allows me to focus on the things that I have going on and making sure that I'm just showing up and being my best self, versus going around and frantically going through the week, forgetting things that I have to do, or just honestly just passively showing up because I don't have a plan, because I don't have a vision for myself. And so when we do that, it's like we start to live on autopilot and default instead of by design. And so designing your week helps you to really make sure that you are focusing on the things that not only that you want to do, but the things that the Lord is calling you to do. And you're not just doing things just because or out of obligation to fulfill responsibilities that you have no business really taking on. And so let's talk about how you can really make sure that you are purposefully and intentionally designing your week. So the first thing to do is I want you to review all your set in stone appointments, any type of meetings and commitments that you have. And so the thing that I like to do is sit down on Sundays, preferably. And I like to look at my week at a glance. And so I will look at any meetings that I have for the week, any like appointments that I have, if I have like small group or anything like that. And I think somebody just asked, like, what church do I go to? And I go to Victory World Church over here in Norcross, Georgia. But I'll look at all those things that I have going on that I know that are immovable appointments, basically. So obviously that looks like work as well. So if you know that you're going to work from like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 8 to 4, whatever, you will go ahead and just already block off that time in your calendar. So what this does is blocking off the time allows you to see the gaps in time that you have to focus on the things that the Lord is calling you to do, or anything else that matters most in your life. So take a few moments, just write everything down. I like to do a paper and a digital calendar. So I will use my physical planner, and then I will also go into Google Calendar or iCal and map those things out as well. And honestly, for me, it's easier to see it in a digital calendar and then transfer it to a paper planner, because I'm able to see and forecast and estimate how much time it's going to take me to get to certain places or to work on certain things. So I like to use those calendars. Okay, so after you do that, then you want to start working in your routines. And so if you had followed on last month, we had talked about refreshing and resetting our focus, and a part of that looks like redesigning your rhythms and routines. And so these are things like your quiet time routine. So if you know that in the morning, the first thing that you do is when you wake up is you immediately get out your Bible and you have a little bit of quiet time, devotion, or whatever it is you want to call it, then you can go into your calendar and block that out. So for me, I usually get up between 5 and 6. Lately it's been 6 because I've been having super late nights, but it doesn't matter. That first hour I usually carve out for my quiet time and personal development routine. So I may take about 30 minutes and spend time in the Word, and then the other 30 minutes I reserve for reading, whether it's a personal development book, a business book, and I'll like jot down some goals and write down a to-do list if I don't have it for the day. And so I know that first hour, that is a routine. That's a part of my morning routine that I have. And so that morning routine automatically gets figured into my calendar, right? And so from there, I'm able to be like, okay, well, after that, I know how long it takes for me to get ready. I know how long it takes for me to commute to the co-working space that I work out of. And then I know that I'm going to be working from, X amount of time. So really just being intentional about working in your routine. So whether it's quiet time, whether it's your evening routine, maybe you have a routine after work where you're decompressing and you go to the gym, you want to take time to really put this into your calendar, because sometimes we can forget about the things unless we actually write them down and we have physical reminders and digital reminders to, make us remember to show up for those things. So for example, because I had just joined a new small group, it was not in my calendar just yet. So I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, I do have small group tonight. But because I didn't plan for it, I had to rearrange things in my day in order for me to make it, versus if I had just sat down and looked at my calendar intentionally and have made sure that I plugged it in there, I would have remembered and would have been able to plan my day accordingly instead of move things around last minute because I just forgot, right? And so making sure that you do that. And studies actually show that people are more productive and they work better from routines rather than lists. And so if you do have a to-do list, that's great, because you're able to also make sure that you're focusing on the things that you need to get done. But that to-do list should just reinforce the routines that you already have. So your day shouldn't be led by your to-do list more than it is like obviously your mission and the rhythms and routines that allow you to carry out things such as your to-do list and your goals. So hopefully this is making sense. And we're actually going to be talking about this more in the Master Your Time workshop this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's an online workshop. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more after we wrap up here. But you just want to make sure that you are really making sure that you are working in your routines into your regular schedule and into your week. So after you have done that, then it's time to really prioritize. So put your priorities first. And I always say that the purposeful priorities are the daily activities that are going to align with your overall mission and goals. And so I don't want y'all to just think about creating a to-do list of just things that you need to get done, because obviously, it is important to clean the bathroom and to run your errands, go to the post office, whatever. But if you are not really making sure that you are prioritizing the things that are God things, and you're putting things before that, they're not going to get done, because what's going to happen is that you're going to get to the end of your week and you had all these great intentions to show up and with purpose and to get all these things done, but because you were led by your to-do list rather than your priorities, you still didn't get the most important things done. So what I want you to do is list out the things that you have to do for the week, but then I want you to go back and prioritize and say, okay, like what are the most important things for me to get done this week that are going to add value to my life and that are going to leave an impact, not just in my life, but the lives of those around me, like the things that align with my purpose, my vision, my calling, and current assignments. So this is important. So once you do that, I don't want you just to leave it on the list, but I want you to really put it first in your day. So like now you can go back to your routines and say, okay, where can I fit this in so I can make sure that before I'm doing all the other things that are just like bonuses if I get them done, where can I prioritize these things so I can make sure that I get them done, and I get them done first thing so that I can move on to the other things that the Lord is calling me to do. So prioritize those things, and I want you to even break it down a little bit further. So pick top 3, and then out of the top 3, if you could just choose one thing to get done during the day that if you got to this thing today, then it would be like a day well spent. Like what would that one thing be? So for today, for me, I have a couple priorities. So a part of those priorities are preparing for my coaching sessions that I have tomorrow. I usually like to do like administrative and coaching prep and stuff like that on Tuesday. So that's a priority of mine. I also have to finish preparing for the workshop on tomorrow. So I have to get the slides finished for that. And then I have to do some follow-up with some sales things that I had for last week. But because I know that my workshop is tomorrow and that it's like a live workshop, that's like my priority for the day, right? That's like my main thing that I have to get done. The one thing that if I don't get anything else today done, that I would be okay with leaving today knowing that that is finished. So I'm only going to be focusing, that's the first thing I'm focusing on today, is making sure that everything for the workshop is finalized and that it's done. So as you can see, that by prioritizing, although I do have other things that need to get done and that I would like to do, this one thing is the most important thing of my day. And so I'm putting all my time, my effort, and energy focusing on that one thing. So I want to ask you, like, what is that one thing for you today? And feel free to leave me a comment, whether you're tuning in live on Facebook or Instagram. But the thing about coaching, guys, and this is a caveat, this has nothing to do with these notes, but I really just want us to make sure that we are being about the things that we say that we're going to do, because it's one thing to come on these lives or to read these self-help books or to attend the conferences or to listen to the sermons and to consume information. But what benefit is it to you that if you're not actively doing the things? And that is why I love coaching, because coaching not only gives you an action plan, but coaching is all about helping you to put those plans into action so you can see the results that you want to see. So it's not going to be enough just me showing up here and giving this information if you're not going to do anything with it. So I just really want y'all to take a moment to just check yourself for a minute and ask yourself, like, am I here to really just get this information, or am I going to be a person that is about her business and do the things that she says that she's going to do, but more importantly, do the things that the Lord has given me to do? Because that's the thing that matters most, making sure that you are living a life that is congruent to the Word of God and the things that He is telling you to do. So I want you to really ask yourself, like, am I putting the things that the Lord is telling me to do first? Am I actually doing them? Because that's important. Okay, so if you're just tuning in live, we're talking about how you can purposefully and intentionally design your week. And so the first thing was to really review all your set in stone appointments and commitments and responsibilities and put those things in the calendar. The second one was to work in your routines into that schedule. And then the third tip was to put your priorities first. And so once you've done that, now you can really factor in flexibility. And so this is kind of hard for a type 1 on the Enneagram like me. I do not like change. I do not like deviation from my plans because my plans really do determine like my course of action for the day. So it's hard for me to factor in flexibility. But with doing that, it really allows some type of buffer between appointments just in case something happens. So for like case in point, like today I was supposed to be on here at 9 a.m., but I have a coworker in here who we were chatting before. And so that kind of like pushed back the start date of this live, right? So I have to plan for unexpected things like that when I am going to the different appointments, when I am thinking about the different things that I have to do. So there's sometimes things that you cannot plan for and that you can't expect to happen. So again, there was traffic too on the way in this morning, and I couldn't account for the accident that was going to happen. And so therefore I had to like forecast almost and plan for the unexpected, because these things can push back some of the things that, you know, I have to work on. And so it's important that you factor in flexibility into the different things that you're doing and allow yourself to be, what is the word that I'm looking for? I guess malleable to at a certain extent to where you can, or adaptable. There we go. That's a better word. Be adaptable to the things that may be thrown your way during the day. So whether it is traffic, or, you know, maybe it is something where somebody interrupted you, but it was like a divine and holy interruption, right? Or even if it's just, you know, you just forgot certain things. So it's important that you just factor in some time to be able to get to the different things that you have going on during the week. And so I always like to create a little buffer room of like 15 minutes before or in between the things that I have to do, to give me time to show up and not be rushed, to not feel like I'm all over the place. It's really important to me to feel like I have some type of composure as I go throughout my day, and factoring in flexibility helps you to kind of plan for the like interruptions and the unexpected, because those things are going to happen. They're inevitable. So it's about just planning as much as you can for those things when they happen. Okay, so after you factor in flexibility, the last thing to do is to make room for margin. And so margin is basically the space that you have. So it's not just the flexibility, but just having intentional time on your calendar to really make time for you. Especially us as women, we give ourselves away to so many different things and so many different people that sometimes we are the last person on our list. And so having this room for margin helps us to have the time and space for the things that we deem as meaningful in our lives. And so if that means that you have margin for you to read a book, and it's not like you have anything planned for that day. So say if you had just like blocked off like 5 to 8, I don't know, this is just me throwing stuff out there, or like 8 to 10. There's nothing necessarily that you're specifically doing during that time, but it gives you time to interpret something that you could do, whether it is, you know, reading, whether it is taking some time to journal, to connect with your kids and your family, spend time with your husband, or, you know, on the phone with your mom. It's something where it's like, it's almost like you're factoring in some unplanned time to spend it however you choose to spend, kind of like free time. So having this makes it so you can really just pour into yourself, because the truth is we cannot pour out of an empty cup. And so being purposeful and productive doesn't necessarily look like us doing all the things all the time. You know, sometimes it looks like us just being and be able to go with the flow and really be able to pour into ourselves the way that we see fit in that moment. And so having the time and space to do that, make sure that we are able to show up effectively and productively and really just make the most of the time that God has given us. Okay, so those are the 5 tips. So we talked about really just, you know, reviewing your schedule, reviewing all your set in stone appointments. The second thing is to work in your routines into the schedule that you have. The third tip was to put your priorities first. And the fourth tip was to factor in flexibility. And then from there, really making room for margin. And so when we are doing these things, when we are intentionally and purposefully designing our week, it really helps us to maximize our time and make the most of every opportunity that God has given us. Okay, so now if you want more for really on how to master your time, I do have a free guide that I created for you. And so you can actually go to bit.ly, or actually, no, you can go to lifedesigneru.com/volume4, and you can download the free Master Your Time lifestyle guide. And this is a lifestyle guide that I usually create every month that has personal development tips, but it also has about 3 like coaching questions to really get your mind going and really asking yourself, you know, am I legit making most of every opportunity that God has given me, or am I making excuses, or am I making plans to doing all the things that He's telling me not to do? And so this will give you an accountability check and make sure that you really are focusing on the things of God. And so again, you can go to lifedesigneru.com/volume4 to download that. And if you want to go even deeper and dive even deeper into this material, I am hosting a workshop on actually tomorrow. So it's tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's an online workshop called Master Your Time. And so I'm going to be actually walking you through coaching questions and coaching exercises to help you to define your mission, to help you to really define your priorities and clarify your roles and make sure that you are stewarding your time and stewarding it well. And so the workshop is $25 and it's totally online. And then there is going to be a replay available for all of you who register. And so the replay is only going to be available for those who register. And you have VIP access to this, which means that the replay will not expire if you sign up. And so I would love to have you. It's going to be a great time. I'm also going to have some worksheets for you to do, so you can print those out and you can do them during the workshop, or you can watch it afterwards and do them at your own time. But you want to make sure that you go ahead and sign up for this workshop, because once I do it, it's going to be gone. And so if you're in a place where you feel like you don't have enough time to do the things the Lord is calling you to do, but you do want to make sure that you are being a better steward of your time, I would love to have you at the Master Your Time workshop. And you can sign up for that at bit.ly/LDU Master Your Time. Okay, and the last thing is, if you're done with all the workbooks, so you've done all the workshops, and you're really just ready to have high-level support and accountability to help you to design a life that you and God love, and you're tired of being passive and purposeless, and you're really ready to go from being passive and purposeless to proactive and purposeful, I would love to have you for a free discovery session. So a free discovery session is where I help you to really identify the challenges you've been having in your purpose and in your personal development journey. And I help you to highlight the opportunities you have to grow and move forward. So that's what coaching is. While counseling is focused on the past and reconciling the past, coaching is specifically designed to help you to move forward. And so you're going to have those opportunities pointed out for you, and you're going to leave a customized life map action plan where I'm going to help you to design a plan and implement the plan and hold you accountable as you design a life that you and God love. And so if you want to sign up for that, it's 30 minutes with me and it's totally risk-free. You can go to bit.ly or bit.ly/LDU discovery session, and we will meet there. Okay, so that is all for today's live. Thank you so much for joining me again every week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. I'm the most transparent person there is, y'all. So I have nothing to hide. So if you have any questions, you have any concerns, if you're wanting to know whether a workshop works best for you, or should you do a discovery session, you can always hit me up about that as well. So you can DM me, or you can email me at janelle@lifedesigner.com. And yeah, that is it. I will see y'all in the next live. And thanks for joining, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye for now.